evening to you once more, and it's another Thursday. It's the third episode of Let's Talk Justice. We Living Your Rights, me and you, and it's coming to you, brought to you by courtesy of Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, as well as Government Communication and Information System. Good evening and welcome. Liperile, botani mawetu siani dumedisa nonke. Let me just go across now, South Africanly so. And tonight, episode 3, we're talking about sexual offences courts. And our aim is to raise awareness on sexual offences courts in South Africa, the progress that it has done over the years, and to educate on the new model of sexual offences courts as we improve based on the experiences that the Department of Justice is encountering, and to highlight also on the importance of the sexual offences court in improving conviction. You see, we're not going to be going and saying, but we always make sure that these people get arrested and there's no prosecution and all that stuff. We'll be talking about that, and to raise awareness as well on victim support services available within the criminal justice system, not only as the Department of Finance, but also as, not Department of Finance, I like too much money, Department of Justice, as well as we will know more about the Tutusela care centers. And let me not talk too much. I'm not the expert on this one. Tonight, I have the privilege of going through this discussion with the Deputy Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Ndate John Jeffery. Welcome, DM, and thank you so very much for ever being available to us for sharing this information.
Thanks very much, and I'm happy to be here and hoping to engage with people from South Africa on the issues.
Yeah, DM, it's Women's Month, and we're talking more topics related to Women's Month, this time around being sexual offences courts. And I'm not going to ask what is sexual offences court. It's a court, all right?
You should ask, because I don't know if people know.
All right, let me just get back to basics then. DM, let's talk about sexual offences courts.
Right.
For those people who are still a bit more on the 3IR and not on the 4IR.
Or they might even be on the 2IR.
All right. Yeah.
No, look, we've got three kinds of courts. We've got two kinds of magistrates' courts, district and regional courts. The district here, the more minor cases, the regional, the more serious cases. And then we've got the high courts, which actually don't hear too many criminal cases.
Yes.
So most of the serious criminal cases get held or heard in a regional court. And a sexual offences court is a specialized courtroom facility at a regional court level for sexual offences. The type of things that it has, I mean, the aim obviously is to make it easier for the survivor of the rape or the sexual offence to be able to testify without getting traumatized again, or what we would call secondary victimization.
That's right.
So the idea basically, there's many features. The one is that there's that the victim can testify in a separate room outside, that's not in the court. So in other words, they don't have to they don't have to see the person who allegedly raped them.
Yes.
And then that is relayed by, usually that room is right next door to the court, and it's relayed by closed circuit television into the courtroom itself. There would be a private waiting room for the victim, also that's very children friendly. Many of the witnesses are children, and children need special attention. They often can't testify for that long. They get tired. They need to have a chance to sleep. And then there's other issues of psychosocial support for people, a court preparation officer from the National Prosecuting Authority's side. There's also prosecutors who are then more specialist on sexual offences matters. So the whole idea is to try and make it easier. And okay, let me also not forget that there would also be, although some of these features may be in other courts, but there would be intermediaries. So if the victim or the witness is a child or a mentally disabled person, then they can give evidence through an intermediary, which is another person who the questions get put to that person. They then phrase the questions in a way that the child or the mentally disabled person can understand, and then relay their answer back to the court.
Might be somebody who cannot even speak and or deaf or something.
Yeah.
And actually, DM, thank you so very much for alluding to that, because it actually highlights the plight of our people with different abilities, not just a normal human being like Mosotho Stonuli, DM John Jeffery, and all that stuff. So we'll be talking more about those challenges, as this is the 7th series of the Let's Talk Justice. Thank you to Karabalans, who was on the first 2 programs, and thank you so very much indeed. And there was child maintenance that was discussed, and there was also what is it again that you discussed last time? Maintenance, yes, maintenance twice. Josephine Petter was here and co-presenting with the Karabalans. Let's talk about what we talked about yesterday, DM, to say we have all these products and everything and stuff. And since the establishment of the sexual offences courts, how much inroad have we made as government and also in touch with the people?
You mean in terms of prevention?
In terms of the progress that has been made in general first, and then we'll get into the details.
Well, look, obviously one would like to see a country in which people, in which there are no rapes, there are no sexual assaults. Unfortunately, we are not. We're in a very violent country generally, but we are also in a country with a high number of sexual offences. There was just looking at statistics, there was a minimal increase from 49,660 in the 2016-17 financial year. Sorry to the listeners, these are, yes, we call it a financial year, so it's not from the 1st of January to the end of December. It's from the 1st of April to the end of March. But anyway, so in 16-17, 49,000, that went up by about 500 cases, just under to 50,108 cases that were recorded.
Sure.
There were 39,828 rapes reported to the police in 16-17, went up to 40,035. So a slight increase. Rape is often, though, a crime that is not reported. Because it's generally women who get raped, and they are embarrassed or feel under pressure from most women get raped by people they know, by men they know.
Exactly, yeah.
So they might. We don't have. It's stranger rape is not such a problem, but they might then feel pressurized because it's somebody they know not to report it. Will they be believed? They don't want to go through secondary victimization, or their family pressurizes them, not to lay the charge. That kind of thing.
He might be a priest.
Yes, that happens.
One typical example.
Yeah. So it is an underreported case, but the problem overall we've got to look at how do we reduce the number of sexual assaults. And I think it's something as men we need to ask. I mean, it's men that's raping women. There's the occasional sexual assault of a man by a woman, but really those are very few and far between. So we need to be asking as men, what are we doing to try and stop other men from raping and doing this?
All right, that's what brings me to invite you as a listener to say you are able to engage us on 0800 142 446 0800 142 446. What are we doing as men? Here, the DM is saying, we do not just have to be creative or to be sounding a bit more clever than the other people, because this is a social problem that exists where advantage has been taken against people who are vulnerable and cannot protect themselves. So talk to us. Nalina ke Mosotho Stone, and we will be together up until 5 minutes past 7. So make sure that you do call us, and it's 0800 142 446. It's free if you are using a Telkom landline. Otherwise, I am joined by Karabo Lance, who's flying this big plane tonight with millions of listeners, and making sure that you're coming out live and clear and with great quality. And then Ace Sitemo is on the telephones. So if Mosotho Stone is not saying hello, there's going to be a very energetic young man who will be actually talking to you in all the languages that you can think in South Africa. So let's talk about the support. I would like us to focus first on the Thuthuzela centers as one of the supporting components of victims of sexual offenses. How does it work, and what guarantees do we have that it will make such an impact that people will be actually giving an accurate, precise, and unbiased evidence that is needed by the court? Because in most cases, we know that cases fall off because there is no proper evidence or something that is acceptable to the court.
Yeah, no, that is the case. Evidence is very important. Otherwise, you have a situation where it's often the word of the person accused of the rape against the word of the victim, and the person accused of the rape will say, "Well, it was consensual. It wasn't rape."
Yes.
So other evidence is important. The Thuthuzela care centers are a unique South African innovation, which was developed by our own National Prosecuting Authority. And they're basically facilities, you could call them that, attached to clinics or hospitals, which deal specifically for victims of sexual offences, rape and other sexual offences. And it's where the victims can come and be examined medically, have the evidence collected, and also where statements can be taken. And they're designed to, again, make it easier for the victim to give evidence rather than just going to a normal medical facility. But it is very important that if somebody is raped, that they go and be examined as soon as possible afterwards.
Now, the Thuthuzela centers, are they attached to every government clinic, or do you have private as well, Netcare and all those other people?
As far as I know, they're only attached to government facilities, and there's a limited number. It's 55 that we have across the Republic of South Africa.
All right.
There's some sites in all 9 provinces, but unfortunately, the coverage is not what it should be. We would like to expand it. I mean, just maybe looking at the list, for example, 9 in the Eastern Cape.
Yes.
Bizana, Butterworth, King Williamstown, Libode, Lusikisiki, Mdantsane, Mthatha, Port Elizabeth, Matatiele.
Yes,
4 in the Free State, Kopano in Welkom, Metsimaholo, Sasolburg, Pekolong in Bethlehem, and Chepong in Bloemfontein.
Yes.
And so on. You know, the list goes on. So it's not that many. It would be great to have more, but that's where they are for the moment. If there isn't a Thuthuzela care center, then obviously go to some other medical facility, or at least see a doctor so that evidence can be collected.
Yeah, and I would like to believe that those who would like to volunteer to be part of the program as a doctor, maybe as a clinic that is private, because we all South Africans at the end. Are they welcome somehow to actually get to be part of this process?
Sure.
The Thuthuzela centers?
I think, you know, we are in the spirit of Tumamina. It would be good if medical practitioners could ask to be tumed. You know, to assist. It would often mean that they would have to go to court and give evidence, because that's where it's aimed at. Let me just also say, because I saw some report on social media this afternoon, I think it was the Premier of the Western Cape visited some of the Thuthuzela care centres and was remarking that only half the cases that were reported there were reported to the police. And look, we would rather victims get treated, women get treated, than pushing that you can only come here if you're going to report it to the police. So that's their choice, unfortunately. We would want to encourage it, but don't feel if you go to a Thuthuzela care centre that you're going to get pressurized into reporting it to the police.
All right.
Go there for the treatment.
Okay. 0800-142-446. If you have just joined us, this is the voice of the Deputy Minister, Ntate John Jeffery. And he's taking us through the topic that we are discussing tonight, which is sexual offences. Courts, we would like these courts to be working for you, not just because we're dealing with a taboo kind of discussion here. Nobody wants to be raped. Nobody wants to be sexually offended. And I would like to ask this one as well, because it's more office-bound, DM, to say there is sexual harassment and there is sexual offense. And that's where I'm coming into the types of sexual offenses that we're talking about. Because, there is this typical South African culture where somebody will just spank on someone, say, hey, you got some nice behinds. You know what I'm saying? And that, to me, probably if I was a lady, I would be feeling like it's a sexual offense more than a sexual harassment kind of thing. But that's a topic for another time. But let's talk about the types so that we are clear to say, when you take somebody to court, what are you taking them for? And is it something acceptable to be prosecuted for as an offender?
Well, look, we've got two kinds of law in South Africa. There's what they call common law, which is not written down. It's
gentleman's principle.
Not really gentleman's principle. It's because you can go to jail for murder is a common law offence. It's not as the other one is laws passed by Parliament. So things like rape were basically, it was a common law crime. The courts determined what constituted rape. Then in 2007, Parliament passed the Criminal Law Sexual Offences Act.
Yes.
And that changed the whole definition of rape. Before that, rape could only be, without going into too much detail, it could only be penetration of a woman into a vagina, and that was sort of all. Men could not be raped, for example.
Yes.
Now the law has changed to mean any form of penetration into any part of the body can be rape. So there's a number of crimes that are set out in the Sexual Offences Act. It would include compelled sexual assault, compelled self-assault, where you force somebody to masturbate, displaying of genital organs, and then it's also what's quite strictly prohibited is sex involving children.
Yes. All right. One thing that's very interesting that I would like us to look into, DM, is the compelled self-sexual assault. Sometimes many of our people are not, even if they paid school fees, they were not actually learning English. And we need to let's break it down. Let's break it down to say, how do I do that? You see, the self part just actually says to people, probably I'm the one who's initiating this. And I'm linking it with where it says, but it was consensual.
Well, the self is what you do to yourself. You're Mosotho, you're trying to turn me into a sex therapist. But it's basically, how does one put this? You can pleasure yourself, whether you're a man or a woman. And let's take if a man and a woman, and the man says to the woman, look, I want to see you play with yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Touch yourself, all that kind of thing. That would be,
to see.
Yes, I want to see. I want to see you take your clothes off. I want to see you touching yourself in the different parts. Yeah. That would be a compelled self-sexual assault.
All right.
You've got even cases where you can have the person committing the offence, and they find a couple, and they say to the couple, I'm forcing you to have sex with each other. If you don't, I'll beat you up, I'll kill you, whatever. That's a crime.
Yes.
And that's compelled sexual assault.
All right, we'll talk more about sexual grooming. We'll talk about compelled sexual assault and all those other ones, because I want there's something called child pornography. There's something called incest. There's something called child prostitution. We'll talk about those things. And sometimes in our own African languages, we do not have the terms that actually describe those kind of crimes that happen within our own. But anyway, we've been talking for quite a while. Let me just give a chance to our listeners, and starting with George. Hello, George.
Hello, I'm Papa Lesotho.
Le kae malome?
Papa.
O re founela le kae bra George? Kopheli. Just around the corner, go west so.
Yes.
Bla. Bolela le rena bro.
All right, firstly, I would like to thank the department for this informative programs, and Deputy Minister, wish the department can speed up the process to roll out more sexual offences court, especially in the township areas. And then I just want a clarity maybe from the Deputy Minister, is the responsibility for Department of Justice and Correctional Services to build the courts, or maybe it's the responsibility for Department of Works, of Public Works? Just a clarity, maybe the minister can just give us the clarity there. Okay. And then lastly, I would like to find out if maybe when we where can we get maybe like informative booklets or maybe the flyers of the DVD. Can we get it maybe to learn more about the sexual offences? Can we get it at the Tutuzela centers, or maybe we have to visit their offices to get this informative booklet?
Bra George, ke put it on the spot, ne?
Yes.
I know you can comment as much as you comment, but let's talk about this. What do you think should happen for men to actually play an active role in campaigning and fighting against sexual offences crimes? Just your own opinion, madam.
I think it's start like something support the and then also maybe we can join the NGOs around the communities the sexual offences and then like around the communities that maybe the campaigns or maybe problems sexual offense.
All right, Brother George, and thank you to Peli FM as well. Thank you, sir. And then we're moving on to Rustenburg and Brabas. All right, man. Thank you so very much to you and Mafisa FM in Rustenburg.
Yes, thanks.
All right, the DM is here for you, my leader.
I've got a question or two.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask the minister, what is the grace period, for lack of a better word, or an expiry date? Say somebody has been sexually assaulted. How long can they wait until the court says, no, you've waited too long, we are no longer going to take your case? That's my first question. If there's a grace period to say, after this period, you can no longer lay charges against or raise this matter in court. The other one, the issue regarding the dropping of charges. Say somebody goes to court, otherwise.
Move a little bit, Brabasi. Move a little bit because we're losing you on the network. Just move a little bit. Maybe if there's a windmill around, you can just climb it if you want to.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you very well, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask on the issue of charges being dropped. What are the ramifications? If somebody, say, decides to go to court, to police station to open charges, to lay charges against a particular person, and then later on they decide to drop charges, is that allowed? And if it is allowed, under what circumstances are those allowed? And lastly, if just a follow-up on that particular one, who can drop charges? Can a mother of a child go to police station, or a parent go to the police station and say, look, we laid charges, now we no longer want to continue the matter, or is it only the victim who is entitled to drop charges? Those are my questions.
Brabas, the last one from me is that make your contribution towards how do we as men brew ruaka? Because how do we make sure we play a significant role in making sure that sexual offenses are a thing of the past?
I think it's a societal issue. The society has to stand up and raise those morals. When we were growing up, we used to have those ethical issues and ethical morals.
Yes.
You say this is wrong, this is right. Because in most cases, people say if you are raised in a particular manner, you are going to behave in a particular manner. I'm not saying we were raised or other people are raised negatively to push the stigma maybe to the parents or the society. But I think the society has a role to play here those issues though of morality and public participation and education. Education is very important. If you can realize, the more educated you are, the lesser the chances are that somebody is going to commit such crimes.
Yes. Brabas, thank you so very much, and thank you to Mafisa FM down in Rustenburg. Thank you so very much, my leader.
It's a pleasure.
All right. And from Rustenburg, we're moving right down to eThekwini. We're taking the last call before the DM response. Usis Nomonde from eThekwini. Ninjani sis?
How are you?
Gapi. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for taking my call.
All right. Talk to the DM.
My question is that, just a comment, is that the initiative that the department has taken, I think, is long overdue and well appreciated, especially by females. And us being the victims most of the time. But there's also a thing that has now arisen that who gets protection for the men now? Because it is known in society that some women actually, because now the date such can report after a long time, so which then now allows the ladies to lie at times, and men get extorted, that like men did not commit a crime. But because the law favors the woman, men get arrested if they don't pay the money that they're being asked to, because it's her word against his. And obviously the system now favors us ladies, and men fall victims. So like there are cases where men end up committing suicide because obviously they're fighting a losing battle if they fight against these ladies that they falsely open cases against them because they know that the laws on their side. Like, what does then the department provide for such cases? Because obviously evidence can't be collected if a case happened over 5 years ago. It's just her word. Who protects the man now?
Is that all, sis Nama?
Yeah, that's all I wanted to know. I just want to know about the men. I appreciate all that they do, and that's I'm happy with. But just this question that what happens to the men, because it's a late banner that's been flown. What about the victims that are men now? They're being raped and also being lied about.
I am so very glad that you raised that part. But anyway, your personal issue in terms of creating a just society free of sexual offenses, free of victimization of children and women, especially in Women's Month. Give me your own opinion in just like a minute.
My own opinion?
Yes, ma'am.
Mine is, the strides that are taken are like immense and are well appreciated and well received by women. And they're making us more alert because there are some forms of abuse that we are not educated about. And it took as normalcy. So now, as you're explaining something, you realize actually a person's been through abuse. Now, at least with the law now guiding us and these Thuthuzela centers being open, it's a ray of hope. But it's just guys that get arrested for things they do not know and not get extorted to get out of jail for something they know nothing about.
Yes,
and you find men with potential end up killing themselves, and this is the norm, basically.
And we both need each other, both men and women, right?
Exactly.
All right. Sis Noma Ningboga, cool. Which radio station are you listening to at the moment?
It's a GNCR.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. All right. Do you listen on radio? Okay. DM?
Thanks. Let me maybe move up from the back with Nomonde.
Yes.
It's actually, well, let me put it this way. The state has to prove that the crime was committed. So it's you can't, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Oh, yes.
And the state has to prove your guilt, and then only then do you have to respond. It does happen that sometimes men are falsely accused. There's the situation of the woman being, expecting a relationship and not getting that, or maybe it's a younger girl who didn't tell her parents that she was having sex with her boyfriend.
She's been exploring. And being naughty.
And when her parents find out, she says no, the boyfriend forced himself on her. So it does happen. I think statistically it's pretty small. I don't think, I think the problem is more women being raped by men who then pretend that it didn't happen or that the woman consented, that kind of thing. But the bottom line is that the state has to prove. So a person, and it can be a crime of laying a false charge, there would need to be evidence. But it's tough. All these things are tough because they're very personal. But I think it's particularly more tougher for the women than for the men. Linked to that, really, with Basiman's questions around the charges being dropped and who can drop the charges.
Yes.
The crimes are you don't have to be have a complainant to report a crime, definitely in the case of children, I think the state would be very reluctant to withdraw charges if the family come and say that the child wants to withdraw. I think they would be very reluctant to. Even with an adult, the state would be reluctant, but obviously what the state, and by the state I mean the prosecution, have to look at is, okay, if this person who was raped now doesn't want to proceed, what evidence are they going to give in court?
Yes.
How will it actually go? Will they be able to build up a strong enough case against the accused? So it's not automatic that charges can be dropped just because the person who laid the charge wants it dropped. So I don't know if that explains. A case like murder, nobody can drop that case. You've got somebody who died. The evidence seems to point to the fact that they were killed unlawfully. Nobody's withdrawing that. The family can't say no. This person, we don't want to lay any charges.
Yes,
they could have killed the person. And then similarly with children, the state will be reluctant. Sometimes you do unfortunately have rape against children, sexual assault against children by other family members.
Yes,
and you therefore don't want a situation where the family can then say no, we don't want this person charged, when it's them, the family, that are participating in the abuse of this child.
That's right.
The grace period, that was the last of Basiman's questions. The was a what was called a prescription period for sexual assault, not for rape. There was recently a court case which went all the way to the Constitutional Court, which basically found that for sexual assault there shouldn't be any prescription. So you should be able to report the matter, obviously at any stage, and it be investigated. Obviously, the longer it takes, the more difficult it is to prove that to have other evidence. But because of the nature of rape, particularly rape of children, sometimes children bury the fact that they were raped, and it only comes to light a lot later that the rape actually took place. And then George's question, who builds the courts? It's the Department of Public Works that builds the courts for the Department of Justice.
Yes.
So I hope that explains that.
All right. Maybe let me just expand on that one, that most of the infrastructure that you see that belongs to government goes through public works first. That's just information. Anyway, more questions, DM, from two of our callers now. Patko, Ninja, goeie afternoon, whatever that you want to speak, my brother, I know. Amut.
Good evening.
Hey, ndimatekwana bote vovuana. Nda kakati aho namre.
Ngilemibuzo nje emithathu mna.
Okay sir.
Okay, imibuzo yami emithathu ngifuna ukuqiniseka ukuba ingaba ithuthuzela center zikhuseleke kangakanani komama njengoba sazi ba inyanga yomama. Xa kwinyanga yomama omama bayahlukunyezwa, emveni bayihlukunyeziwe bathathwe nabantwana basekuthuthuzela care center. Bathathwe babekwe phayana. Ingaba zikhuseleke kangakanani? Umbuzo wami wokuqala lo.
Okay.
Umbuzo wami wesibini, ngifuna ukuqonda ukuba ngelixa sisazi ukuba omama they are the victims kwicala ze-rape, kwi-abuse. Ingaba i-Department of Justice iqinisekisa kanjani kwicala lawo ukuba i-kit ezisetyenziswayo if someone has been raped or someone someone has been raped, i-kid ufumana xa uya epolice station kuthiwa okanye from esibhedlele kuthiwa the kid azikho, just to make sure ukuba lo muntu lona has been raped, yonke loo nto leyo. Umbuzo wami wokugqibela ndifuna uqonda ukuba ingaba baqinisekisa kanjani ukuba bona be-Department of Justice ukuthi bayeze ebantwini babafundise ukuba thina si-Department of Justice sinezi program ezi 1 2 3 uba ngabe ungaya from the rural areas abantu they've been raped kuthiwe no, this thing must remain here, ayiphumi ngaphandle, it's the only family thing. So bazazilungisa njani ezo nto ezo? Zikhwethu zami ezintathu ezo,
especially elalini wena
elalini from the rural areas.
Yeah.
Village kakhulu.
All right. Now the last thing from me, Patko, I know we always are the ones from Mpakatin that we ask questions, but let's contribute to this thing. As Upatko, how do you see this? How do you see South Africa winning against this, my leader?
Okay, Ndatemsuthu. In order ukuthi South Africa ikwazi ukuwina, the department, the community radio station, the commission, the politicians must work together hand in hand. Maybe during the time of when they are having a program or the MEC or the president is coming to a certain place, where all the department and then to give the service to the community. During that time, each and every time, they engage with the community, and then they put what problem do you have from this community, social development, sports and culture, all the Department of Health, Department of Education, hand in hand. Look, the cases in the guy from the schools, they've been raped, and then the teachers, the SGP, they remain silent. Because I equal that working relationship.
And we're saving people's jobs in the process. Patko?
That's all, my chief.
All right. Thank you so very much, Patko, and thank you so very much to Kunja was the station in Aliwal North. Takalani Community Radio. Thank you so very much. And we're moving on to Western Cape. Grant? And then the teacher, they remain silent. Because I think that way relationship
and will save people's jobs in the process.
Grant?
Yes,
How are you doing, Grant?
I'm very well, and you?
Can you please just get your, because you are actually a few seconds behind us. So if you're going to listen on radio, you're not going to be able to hear me quite very well. Let's talk directly now with the DM. Welcome.
Got you. Thank you so much. I'm calling from Worcester, and I've got a question. A colleague of mine informed me of somebody who harass her at work. Now, I'm listening to the various types of sexual assault, and specifically when the deputy ministers speak of rape and what is classified as rape. So there in this case, it is a senior member of organization, and that person has not in any form or way, as you put it, penetrated. But this person are very touchy, clingy against her will.
And hulle sluk hulle saliva sommer when they see you, mos, ne?
Ja.
Ons moet nou met die ding se praat, my bro.
Dit is baie belangrik. Die minister moet asseblief vir my antwoord gee wat soort tipe klagte kan sy by die polisie maak. Ja, ek gaan hoor op die radio.
Alright, baie dankie Grant. Jy luister vir Woester or vir die ander een? Wally?
FM.
Alright, dankie.
Dankie hoor.
Dankie Grant, baie dankie. Alright, DM?
Sure. Just with Patco's
the safety of Tutuzela centers.
Yeah.
The other one is
rape kits, and then the
and then the outreach programs that you have. Yes.
Yeah. Look, I'm not too sure with the safety of the Tutuzela care centers. As I said, they're attached to. They're not freestanding. They're attached to hospitals or clinics. They would be part of the security of that place. The rape kits, the police stations are meant to have them. I see there has been some concern raised in the media earlier this week relating to the availability of kits. I've asked the department to find out what is happening in that regard. Is there a problem? The issue of rural areas tend to be more conservative communities. And there are programs involving traditional leaders, for example, the Ndabazita project, it's called, to basically get traditional leaders support in terms of dealing with, particularly with domestic violence.
Yes.
Traditional courts are not allowed to deal with or prohibited from dealing with sexual offences. The aim basically is to prevent a situation where you have maybe a more patriarchal community, and they say, okay, no, if the man pays a cow to the woman or her family, then that's fine, and that's not the case. I mean, rape is serious. The sentences for rape are quite extensive. Let me just sort of, I'll come back to those, but it's useful to, I think, scare people with what they can actually get for rape. Grant's issue. Look, the Sexual Offences Act deals more with the more serious crimes of rape, of sexual assault.
Yes.
I see they use the term violates a complainant, but it's more like physical contact with the sexual organs. So you don't need for sexual violation, you don't need penetration, but you need touching of sexual organs at least. So
spanking.
But look, I mean, if it's at the workplace, there's laws which prohibit sexual harassment at work.
Yes.
So you can sexually harass somebody without even touching them. It's probably not a crime per se, but you can have action taken against them in terms of the labor laws.
Yes.
You can also get a protection from harassment order if somebody is behaving in a way towards you that you don't like. So those, I think, would be the remedies. But I think it's also explaining to men in particular what's allowed and what isn't allowed. It's like the issue of some men think that if they go on a date with a woman, with a lady, they take her out to supper, they pay for the meal, then they're entitled to sex afterwards. And that's not the case. I mean, the part of the slogan has been of the anti-rape campaigns has been that no means no.
Yes.
And that men must accept that no matter how desperate they are or how attractive and handsome they think they are,
how many expensive
and what
bottles of booze I've
yes,
bought.
but that the woman may not want to have sex with them, and also a woman can change her mind. So she can maybe start out thinking, okay, this guy isn't so bad, sex wouldn't be so bad, and then she can along the way, and she can even say, yes, let's go to your place or my place or whatever. But then she's entitled to change her mind.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to be particularly education about.
That's right. While you're still on that one, I'm just thinking, DM, would it be an offense if somebody claims that this woman is sleeping their way up without even having any evidence? I mean, the lady is getting successful. She's getting all these opportunities to ensure that, she contributes probably to South Africa or to a better world and everything. And now, just because Mosotho Stone or DM John Jeffery believes in this lady, and then she goes up in her rank, and now all of a sudden she has slept her way up.
Look, that would be defamatory.
All right.
It would be more probably a civil claim that could be made. But yes, we are in a patriarchal society, and generally people are prejudiced against women.
Yeah. All right. And the Grant's question?
No, I thought I dealt with that. That was on the issue of the sexual assaults.
Oh yes, so
it depends. It could be a crime. You don't need basically to repeat.
And it's not clear.
I think he did say that it was taking place at the workplace. So that's sort of one area where there could be a remedy, and it should be reported to the senior people. Hopefully, it's not the senior person who's doing this. But you can have sexual violation, which doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be penetration.
Mm-hmm. All right. You're still tuned to Let's Talk Justice. We live in your rights, and it's brought to you by Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. And thanks to all the radio stations that have that are taking part in this. In the Western Cape, we have Radio 786, Elgin Radio, West Coast Radio, Well Coast Radio, Matty FM in Stellenbosch, Worcester FM in Worcester itself, Eden FM, it's based in George, as well as Zibonele FM. And there's one lady here who was just telling me that she used to work for Zibonele FM, but I'm not going to say anyway now. And Gamkaland in the northern part of Western Cape, as you go into Beaufort West and all those other places. I will keep on mentioning them, and Karabolans is going to keep on mentioning them as time goes by. We got about 20 of these programs, so you'll definitely get your chance. So today it's Western Cape that I'm focusing on. Let's talk to Mark. Mark usfonela KZN. Mark.
Sawona msakazi, angibingelela kuwena, ngibele nongqongqoshe, ngilalele kumgungundlovu mina kwana 7.6 FM, the sound of choice of KZN Capital.
Welcome, sir.
Yes. Mina owami umbuzo ngobuza kakhulu kungqongqoshe yokuthi kunenkinga la uthola ukuthi umuntu uratio mhlamba ahlukumezeka wahamba waye emaphoyiseni wayobika icala right, owesifazane ohlukumezekile uhambe uyobuka emaphoyiseni icala, amaphoyisa afika amthathe lo umuntu o-rape wesifazane. Okuyinkinga kakhulu ukuthi i-Department of Justice yona ikuphi ekwenzayo ukuthi laba bantu abadlengulayo abadlengula abantu besifazane begcine bengaphumi. Uhulumeni kumele ne-Department of Justice ethathe isinqumo sokuthi uma umuntu enza icala noma elokuhlukumeza noma mhlambe lana icala mhlambe le-murder icala angaphumi angayitholi ibhayili ngoba ikhona okudala ukuthi crime ibe phezulu kangaka ezweni lakithi. Buka nje emakhaya ogogo bayahlukumezeka bayadlengula ogogo emakhaya. Ngikhuluma nje kunengane ekade neminyaka ewu5 lapho sisingapha ngasemntombi eyadlengulwa ingane. Kodwa abazali bayo bathi ngoba lo muntu ufakela ukudla la endlini anyathele ngenyawo nje intithuli. Uhulumeni kumele ayibheke lento yalabantu abahlukumeza ogogo nezingane nomama ukuthi uma umuntu enze icala le-rape libucayi kabi nelokuthinta nje ungazange uvumelane nomuntu kuyicala elinzima. Uhulumeni akabaniki ibhayili ababolele ejele laba bantu. Ngiyabonga kakhulu bhuti, ngilalele kumgungundlovu imnandi show yini.
Ngiyabonga Pramak, thank you so very much. And let's speak to Abongile. Abongile, you're speaking from Cape Town and Western Cape. Welcome. Welcome, Siswam.
Hello.
Hello, Abongile.
Yes, I'm listening.
Unjani, Siswam?
Ngiyaphila Nkosi, kunjani?
All right. Talk to us.
No problem with the justice system here in South Africa. Because there was a girl in the Azio who was, in fact, the father like almost raped her. But umamake wathi no makangayisi emapoliseni. Now yenzeka indlela yoba makade abe uyasiwe emapoliseni, but akuzange kude kube khonto yenzekayo ngalonto. So I have a problem with the justice system.
But now let me ask you, Abongile, ne? Is it how do you think the justice system will be able to enforce any kind of law or policy or code of conduct that says when as umama you are not allowed to have an opinion of saying ungayo bambisa lo stepfather?
But kaloko yade yenzeka indlela yoba mayihambe yo reportwa and then stepfather wavele wahamba azange abanjwe zange kwenzeke next.
Does he have connections with the police?
I do not know.
Okay, because it sounds very fishy.
Like kwavele kwangathi akwenzekanga next.
All right. Is that all, Abongs?
Yeah, that's all.
All right. Thank you so very much.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Dear?
Yeah, let me start with Bongile. I mean, you say you've got a problem with the justice system, but the problem's within the family.
Yes.
So that's a bit unfair on the justice system. And I guess what we've got to do as a society through community organizations, churches, whatever, is to indicate this is not acceptable, because it is not uncommon. It does happen where the mother, particularly in the situation like she's mentioned of a stepfather, takes the man's side, or it might be her brother or an uncle or something like that, and often the family will take, and sometimes it is the women that do it, that take the side of the male members of the family, and that's wrong. And so it's I think more of a societal campaign to get across the message that this is not acceptable.
Yes.
Also to make use of the schools for that. But unfortunately, the way the law works is you have to have evidence that a crime has been committed. And a charge has to be laid. There is a duty on I think some people that they must report cases of sexual assault or of human trafficking, for example. So yes, that is important. But these problems are taking place in our families, and we need to look at campaigns to educate our families. On Mark's issue, look again. You need evidence to get a conviction. So the aim of things like the Tutuzela care centers and the police rape kits and the safe rooms where people can lay charges is to try and make it easier to get evidence. And again, people who've been raped, women who've been raped, need to be encouraged to go and report it as soon as possible, not to bath before they go and report it, so that evidence, if there's DNA evidence or other types of evidence, can be collected. So that is part of the process. On the issue of bail, just to remind everybody that bail is about whether the accused is going to stand trial or not, whether he's going to run away, whether he's going to interfere with witnesses. Bail is not about punishment, and often people, particularly in communities, think that they can't understand why for a more serious crime an accused will be given bail, because in their mind he's guilty and he must stay in jail. But in fact, bail is, staying in jail is a punishment, which is given out as a sentence when the person is found guilty, and in the more serious cases. So please, just to remind everybody about that, bail is not about punishment. It's about, will the accused stand trial? Will he interfere with witnesses? Those kinds of things.
All right. Let me extend Abongile's question as well into incest, where I think when it involves a stepfather, a stepmother, and a child, and all that stuff, is this something I might not be well versed I'm not a legal person, GM. Is this what would constitute incest? And even more than that, let's talk a little bit more about that particular sexual offense before we get into sexual offenses happening in prison, as I requested you to speak on that one.
Yeah, look, inquest is about both people.
Oh, incest, not inquest, by the way.
Incest, sorry. It's, what did I say? Inquest.
You said inquest.
Okay,
yes.
no, sorry. I've got it on the brain for some
Twist
other
of the
thing.
tongue.
Yeah, it's basically around people marrying each other or having sex with each other when they are related by blood, but also in an adoptive relationship, and it's prohibited. Culturally, there would be, and that's a crime. So you can't even consent to having sex with your sister or your brother, or your adopted sister or your adopted brother. So that's what incest is.
But I'll challenge you based on the traditional practices that we have as African human beings. Maybe let me just not say African, because we're all African anyway. Black traditional African human beings who would say, I'm going to say it first in my language and translate it. It means I can marry my cousin, and I can pay lobola and get, traditionally so. It used to be a practiced norm where it is normal to marry your cousin. And now we're back in 2019, and somebody might look at that as like, nah, that's incest.
Look, I'm not sure. It depends on how far away the cousin is from you. And I think, again, it often is. I mean, it's. I'm just trying to look at the crime itself. You can't have sex with or marry ascendants or descendants. So you can't marry your uncle.
Yeah. Okay, it's there.
Yeah.
It's provided for.
And then you can't. You can't have sex or marry somebody on the same level as you if you're related to a common ancestor in the first degree of descent. So you can't basically, I think it's more restricted as far as I'm reading this, may not be entirely correct. It's your siblings that you can't marry, which would be basically the child of your mother and your father, or one of them. So cousins becomes more possible. Look, some cultures some cultures did marry their siblings. So the ancient Egyptians, Cleopatra married her brother.
Exactly.
And then killed him, I think. But anyway, that's a story for another day. Yeah.
All right. And let's talk about this one, DM, that is not actually being looked at and being paid attention to as much as it should, because it is happening in prisons.
Yeah, well,
sexual offences in prisons, where even amongst the communities, when akarabo, they will say, "Uzawubanjwa mfana, hey, mawungena pa, bazokwenza." It means they will do you things that we use to make people be afraid of prison, to say you might be sexually assaulted over there, and it comes across more as like it's an accepted narrative to sexually offend within prison. What is the department's take on that? Because I know we have been more focused on protecting our women more than anything, but now this is cropping up and it's starting to be part of a norm in prisons.
Look, it does happen in prison, male rape, and since the Sexual Offences Act came into effect, men can also get raped, and it's a crime. Obviously, it's we accept it's more difficult in prison, where people are there's overcrowding, there's lots of aggression, but I think the issue to society generally is to accept that men can get raped, and society needs to support those men who've been raped. Often men who've been raped don't want to talk about it, feel ashamed. Society needs to support them,
and probably come out worse than they were when they got into prison. You know.
Look, steps are taken in terms of the separation of children. That's a person under the age of 18.
Okay.
The separation of juveniles. That's a person from 18 to their early 20s from older people. So there are attempts at that, but unfortunately, yes, it would appear that rape is and sexual assault is something that does happen in our prisons, and we need to make means to ensure that people can report it, and those people who are responsible for it can get prosecuted.
All right. Deputy Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Mr. John Jeffery. He's been a wonderful guest as usual, as always. And unfortunately, we cannot run out of the taba. We can only run out of time. And thank you so very much for all those who contributed, who called in. Thank you so very much to Sitemo Beto. He's calling himself Ace. So every time when you call in there, you say, "Hey, Ace." And then you say, "Eita Brian." And then, Brakaps. That's what Ace calls Karabo Lance. He calls him Brakaps. And he will be with you. And either me or him, we will be bringing you this live and direct, and hoping that we make the impact that South Africa needs. For you as a listener, thank you so very much. Keep putting South Africa first and putting yourself first, and make sure that motuki motukabato. Thank you so very much, and good night.